does biblical fidelity, or my commitment to my faith walk, trump my responsibilities at work or to the government or to society? I think it's enlightening to read the scriptures and to see leaders like David being able to function effectively as gospel-oriented leaders in the context of secular environments. But we note in David's life that when the environment was placing a requirement on the leader to do something that cut across the clear understanding of the gospel message or against the convictions of that particular leader, that the leader is required to place their commitment to their Lord over their requirements that might be pressed upon them at work. But there are ways to nuance that. So we see we see Daniel continuing as a faithful man, yet refusing to obey the king who said, "You cannot pray to anyone else but me." We see the apostles in Acts violating the commandment of the Sanhedrin, saying, "You shall no longer preach the gospel," and saying, "Whether you think it's proper or not for us to do this, you must decide, but we have to obey God rather than man." Now, I'd say that I've talked to many business persons who have felt in this conundrum between their faithfulness to the gospel and their responsibility to work. And what I've usually discovered is that prayer and creativity allows them to be faithful to both at the same time. I'm thinking of one particular person who was in a workplace where they required that you could not proselytize. That would mean that he couldn't overtly talk about the gospel while he was on the job. But his demeanor and the way he acted while he was on the job and his willingness to serve those around whom he worked and the excellence by which he did his job caused many people to ask him about the hope that was within him, about the things that motivated him and encouraged him to be faithful. And he would say to them, "I'd love to talk to you about that. Can we go out and have coffee together during a break? Can we go out and have lunch together?" And so he was able to fulfill both the expectation of his workplace and his faith commitment by being creative and innovative. However, there are times when people are told specifically that they cannot do things, and it violates them. I think of a friend who was being pursued by a corporation that sold things that were in violation to his ethical commitment. And he flat out just said to them, "I'm sorry, I can't consider your offer because of my own personal convictions and my responsibility to them." I think most recently we've seen this struggle interestingly enough, in professional football with Tim Tebow and the way that he would reflect his faith or not reflect his faith, and having some older brothers in Christ like a Kurt Warner talk to him about being faithful to his commitment and yet being nuanced and responsible in the way he did that.